Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, welcome to the course of Artificial Intelligence. We are discussing lecture number 12 and the main topic of the lecture is expert systems. This is your teacher Tariq Aziz, lecturer at Institute of IT, Kohart University, HANGU-CAMPUS. So let's move on to the agenda. Dear students, in today's lecture, we will discuss some of the applications of expert system. So there are the different application areas of expert systems, and these application areas include the diagnosis. So for example, if you want to diagnose something, then we can develop an expert system, and then this expert system will be capable of diagnosing the symptoms. Like for example, in the medical domain, if we want to diagnose a disease, then an expert system can perform this diagnosis operation. The second application area is the interpretation, and we can use expert system to interpret something. And then the third application area is the prescription. So this is basically related to the diagnosis. So definitely, first of all, you have to diagnose something, and then you have to prescribe the solution. So let me explain this with the help of the medical domain. In medical domain, let's say first of all, what the doctor do, they diagnose the disease, and then accordingly they prescribe the medicine. So an expert system could be used for this reason. First of all, an expert system could diagnose the symptoms of the disease, and then alternative accordingly the expert system, they can prescribe the medication. The fourth application area is the design. We can use expert system to for designing purpose. Then the fifth is planning. Expert system can perform planning. And then for control applications, like in industrial control systems, there are a lot of machines which work automatically. So in these industrial control systems, or we can say these SCADA systems, we can use expert systems in these industries to control different machines or for control applications. And then expert system can be used for instruction. For example, if you want to develop a tutoring application to instruct students, then expert system can do the job. And finally, for prediction and for simulation, expert system can also be used for these purposes. Now, dear students, we will look at these applications one by one with the help of examples. So the first application is the control applications. Now, dear students, in control applications, expert systems are used to adaptively govern slash regulate the behavior of a system. Now, the example is controlling a manufacturing process or medical treatment. Now, let me give you the example with the help of industry. In industry, we have a lot of applications which control the manufacturing process, which control different machines. So an expert system can do the job. You have to develop an expert system, and then this expert system will control the manufacturing process. Similarly, in medical domain, for medical treatment, we can develop an expert system, and then accordingly this expert system will control the medical treatment. Now, for this reason, what the expert system has to do? So for this reason, for controlling purpose, an expert system has to obtain data about current system state, and then it has to perform reasoning, and then it will predict future system states and recommends adjustments accordingly. So this will be the working criteria of the expert system in controlling application. Now, one of the practical expert system, the name of the expert system is VM, developed by Fagan in 1978. This is the practical expert system, and this expert system is used to monitor patient status in the intensive care unit ICU. And what this expert system do? This expert system analyze the heart rate of the patient, the blood pressure of the patient, and the breathing measurement of the patient, and then accordingly this expert system adjusts the ventilator being used by the patient. So look at the example. Now here, what the expert system is doing: controlling the medical treatment. Okay, so this is the first application. The second application is the designing. We can also use expert system for designing purpose, and they are used for design applications to configure objects under given design constraints. What's the practical expert system which is which perform the designing? XCon is the expert system, and it perform the designing. And the another example of the expert system which perform the designing is piece, developed by Dink Bass. I may not pronounce the name correct, in 1980. Now, what this expert system do basically? It's a CAD tool, and it is used to design the electronic structures. Okay. Similarly, if you want to develop an expert system which design the bridges, you can develop the expert system, or which is used to design the buildings. So you can develop an expert system, and then this expert system will design the bridges and the buildings. Okay, so it's possible, because here, as we said, that we have a practical expert system piece, and this is used to design electronic structures. The third application is the diagnosis and prescription. So here, what the expert system will do, it can serve to identify system malfunction points. Now, suppose you have some sort of a system, and you want to identify that what's the malfunctioning point in my system. You want to diagnose this, and accordingly, you need a prescription to solve your problem. Then an expert system can do this. So, to do this, what the expert system need, what expert system will need to do this? First of all, it will need the knowledge of the possible faults, and then it will diagnose methodology extracted from technical experts. It will need the methodology which the real expert used to for diagnosis purpose. And the diagnosis, for example, the diagnosis based on patient's symptoms. Okay, and then diagnosing malfunction electronic structures. So it's let me explain some let me explain summarize the point again, that it's very easy, dear students. In this case, what's the expert system will do? First of all, it will perform the diagnosis operation. It will diagnose, in case of the medical domain, it will diagnose the patient's symptoms, and then accordingly it will prescribe the medication. In case of the industrial system or other system, it will diagnose the malfunction points, and then accordingly it will provide the solution to rectify these parts. Okay, now, dear students, here it says that most diagnosis expert system have a prescription subsystem. So if an expert system is able to diagnose, then the prescription will be the subsystem of this expert system. Okay, these systems which diagnose and then prescribes, these systems are usually interactive. You have to interact with these systems, and they build on user information to narrow down the diagnosis. Okay, now let me explain the concept with the help of the medical domain. Suppose that you are a patient, and you just visit the doctor. Okay, now what the doctor do? Ask questions from the patient, and then try to identify the patient symptoms, and after that it will prescribe the medication. But the last point, actually, I am trying to explain this last point. So in this scenario, what the doctor is doing, he is asking question from the patient. So what he is doing, basically, he is interacting with the patient. Okay, why? To narrow down the diagnosis process. Okay, to try to know about the patient's symptoms, and then he will prescribe the medication. So same is the case with the expert system. Okay, now, dear students, the next application is the instruction and simulation. So expert system can be used to guide the students in some topics. And one of the expert system, which is known as Guidon, developed in 1979. And this expert system is basically a tutoring application. And this expert system instructs students in diagnosis of bacterial infections. So, what's the strategy of this expert system? Its strategy is to present user with the cases and then analyze the students' responses, and finally compares the students' approach to its own and directs students based on differences. So, this is the basic working criteria of this expert system. Now, dear students, the next application is the simulation. If you want to perform a simulation, simulation you can develop an expert system which will model which can be used to model processes, or this expert system can be used to model systems for operational study or for using along with tutoring applications. Let me give you an example. Suppose that you want to develop a network system, and you want to develop a simulated network system. Let's say this it's not practically it's not possible for students to practice the networking, to set the networking, maybe because there is no computer system, there is no cabling and other tools, so students can use these to develop a network. Then what's the solution is that we can develop a simulation, and a student can practice with the help of this by using this simulation, student can practice their practical labs are simple. There are some simulations students in practically they practice that how to develop a network in the lab. So this could be one of the example. Okay, similarly, if you want to in experiments, you if you want to perform some experiments, but practically, let's say these experiments are not possible or much more costly. So in such experiments, or for such experiments, you can develop an expert system, and then these expert system will provide simulation. So by using these simulations, you can perform the experiments. Now, dear students, the next application is the interpretation. And the Durkin, it defines the interpretation. It says that interpretation is producing an understanding of situation from given information. So you have the information, and then you have to use these information to produce understanding of a situation. So this is the definition of the interpretation. Now, what's the example of an expert system which provides this interpretation? FXAA, developed by 1988, is one of the expert system which provides the interpretation service. Now, for what purpose this expert system is used? This expert system provides a financial assistance for a commercial bank. How? It looks at a large number of transactions, and if there are any irregularities in these transactions, then this expert system identify these irregularities in transaction, and also it can perform the audit. But this audit is automated audit. So this expert system is also used for automated audit. Now, dear students, there is the final application of the expert system, which is planning and prediction. So expert system can be used for planning applications. And for example, what's the example? Recommending, for example, recommending steps for a robot to carry out certain steps, are cash management planning. Now there is an expert system which is known as a smart plan, and this expert system is used for strategic market planning. Okay, and it was developed in 1993. Now, dear students, what this expert system suggests? This expert system suggests appropriate marketing strategy required to achieve economic success. Now, similarly, expert system can also do prediction, and the prediction systems infer likely consequences from a given situation. So you have to provide the situation to the expert system, and based on these given situations, the expert system will predict the likely consequences. So we can say that for weather forecasting, we can also develop a expert system, and then these expert system will forecast weather for human beings. Okay. Now, dear students, this was enough for today's lecture. We just look at different applications areas of expert system. From the next lecture, we will start with the appropriate domains for expert system. Thank you.